The bridge of the Prometheus Ascendant hummed with barely contained energy as Captain Zephyr Voss stood before the vast panoramic viewport, watching the last known star fade into the cosmic distance behind them. Her reflection stared back from the reinforced crystalline barrier, sharp emerald eyes beneath silver-streaked auburn hair, the weight of humanity's greatest expedition etched in the lines around her mouth. Beyond the glass lay the Abyss sector, a region of space so remote that no human vessel had ever dared to venture into its depths. "Final systems check complete, Captain," reported Chief Engineer Kalen Thorne from his station, his calloused hands dancing across holographic interfaces that pulsed with golden light. The man's weathered face bore the scars of a dozen engine room explosions, each one a testament to his unwavering dedication to keeping humanity's vessels running against impossible odds. "The quantum drive is operating at peak efficiency, and our shield generators are holding steady at maximum output." Navigator Lyrian Blackwood turned from her constellation of star charts, her dark eyes reflecting the swirling galaxies displayed in three-dimensional splendor above her console. "Captain, we're now officially beyond the edge of mapped space. From this point forward, we're writing our own star charts." Her voice carried both excitement and trepidation, the thrill of discovery tempered by the knowledge that they were truly alone in the vast emptiness. Dr. Meridian Cross, the ship's chief science officer, looked up from her analysis station where streams of data cascaded like digital waterfalls. Her brilliant mind had already begun cataloging the strange energy signatures they were detecting from deeper in the sector. "The readings I'm getting are unlike anything in our databases. There are gravitational anomalies out there that shouldn't exist according to our understanding of physics, and I'm detecting what appear to be artificial structures of enormous scale." Communications Officer Esterian Vale adjusted his headset and frowned at his instruments. "I'm picking up faint signals, Captain, very faint, but definitely artificial in origin. The patterns are complex, almost like they're trying to tell us something." His pale fingers trembled slightly as he fine-tuned the receivers, chasing whispers across the cosmic void. Commander Wraith Hawk, the ship's security chief, stood with military precision near the tactical station, his cybernetic eye glowing softly as it interfaced with the ship's defensive systems. The augmentation had been necessary after the Proxima incident 3 years prior, when he'd saved the entire crew by manually overriding an overloading weapons array. "All defensive systems are online and ready, Captain. Whatever's out there, we'll be prepared for it." Dr. Solara Kane, their chief medical officer, monitored the crew's biometric data from her station, noting the elevated stress hormones and increased heart rates throughout the ship. Despite the crew's professional demeanor, she could see the toll that venturing into the unknown was taking on everyone aboard. "The crew is handling the stress well, but I recommend regular psychological evaluations as we proceed deeper into uncharted territory." Captain Voss nodded to each of her officers, feeling the weight of 5,000 souls aboard the Prometheus Ascendant, scientists, engineers, explorers, and their families who had volunteered for this unprecedented journey into the cosmic unknown. The ship itself was humanity's crown jewel, a vessel 3 kilometers long and equipped with the most advanced technology their species had ever created. Its hull gleamed with adaptive armor that could shift its molecular structure to deflect energy weapons, while its quantum drive could fold spacetime itself to achieve faster-than-light travel. "The mission parameters remain unchanged," Voss announced, her voice carrying clearly throughout the bridge. "We are to explore the Abyss sector, establish contact with any intelligent life we encounter, and gather scientific data that will advance human understanding of the universe. We carry with us the hopes and dreams of all humanity." As if responding to her words, the ship's sensors suddenly blazed with activity. Lyrian star charts flickered and reformed, showing a massive gravitational disturbance directly ahead. Dr. Cross's instruments went wild with readings that defied conventional physics. In the distance, barely visible against the star field, something vast and artificial glittered with alien light. "Captain," whispered Esterian, his voice filled with awe and terror. "The signals are getting stronger. And they're responding to our presence. Whatever's out there knows we're here." The bridge fell silent except for the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Through the viewport, The alien structure grew larger as they approached, its geometry twisted in ways that hurt to perceive directly. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure, a testament to intelligence beyond human comprehension. Zephyra Voss straightened her shoulders and prepared to make first contact with the unknown, knowing that the next few hours would determine whether humanity's greatest journey would end in triumph or catastrophe. The Prometheus Ascendant pushed deeper into the abyss, carrying its precious cargo of human courage into the waiting darkness. The alien structure loomed before them like a fever dream made manifest, a crystalline metropolis that defied every law of physics humanity had painstakingly discovered over centuries of scientific advancement. Towers spiraled impossibly upward, their surfaces shifting between states of matter as if the very concept of solidity was merely a suggestion. The structure measured over 200 kilometers in diameter, dwarfing even the Prometheus Ascendant's impressive bulk. Gravitational readings are off the charts, Dr. Cross reported, her voice tight with scientific excitement and growing concern. The structure is generating its own localized space-time distortion. It's not just floating in space, it's creating its own pocket of reality. Her fingers flew across her instruments as she attempted to make sense of readings that challenged fundamental assumptions about the universe. Captain Voss moved closer to the viewport, studying the alien architecture with the keen eye of someone who had spent decades navigating the complexities of space. The structure pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that seemed almost organic, as if the entire city were a living entity breathing in the vacuum of space. Any signs of weapons systems or defensive capabilities? Commander Hawk's cybernetic eye whirred as it analyzed the structure through multiple spectrums simultaneously. Negative on conventional weapons, Captain, but with technology this advanced, their defensive capabilities could be beyond our ability to recognize or comprehend. The energy output alone suggests they could vaporize us without effort if they chose to. Asterion suddenly stiffened at his communications console, his headset crackling with activity. Captain, I'm receiving a transmission, not through our standard channels, but directly into our communication array. It's in perfect English. His face paled as he processed the impossibility of what he was reporting. The bridge fell silent as every officer turned toward the communication station. Captain Voss felt her heartbeat quicken. Put it through, Asterion. Full bridge audio. The voice that emerged from the speakers was unlike anything they had ever heard, simultaneously ancient and timeless, carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate in their bones. Greetings, children of Terra. We have been expecting your arrival for quite some time. You may call us the architects. We extend an invitation to dock with our installation. Dr. Kane monitored the crew's biometric responses as the alien voice filled the bridge. Stress levels spiked across the board, but she noted with professional pride that none of her people showed signs of panic. Years of training and careful psychological screening had prepared them for this moment. Navigator Blackwood checked her instruments with practiced efficiency. Captain, they're transmitting docking coordinates. The approach vector they've provided would take us to what appears to be a docking bay scaled for vessels our size. She paused, studying the data more carefully. The precision of these coordinates suggests they know our ship's exact specifications. Chief Engineer Thorne looked up from his console with a mixture of admiration and unease. Their technology is incredible, Captain. I'm detecting power sources that dwarf our entire civilization's energy output, and their construction materials are exhibiting properties that shouldn't be possible. This civilization is thousands, maybe millions of years ahead of us technologically. Captain Voss weighed their options carefully. The first contact protocols were clear: establish communication, assess intentions, proceed with extreme caution. But the protocols had been written assuming they would encounter civilizations roughly equivalent to human technological development. This was something entirely different. Architect entity, she responded, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. This is Captain Zephyra Voss of the human starship Prometheus Ascendant. We appreciate your invitation, but our protocols require us to establish your intentions before proceeding with physical contact. The response came immediately, as if the architects had anticipated her caution. "Your prudence is commendable, Captain Voss. We harbor no hostile intentions toward your species. Indeed, we have been observing humanity's development with great interest. Your arrival here represents a significant milestone in your species' evolution." Dr. Cross's instruments detected subtle changes in the space around them as the architects continued speaking. "They're somehow harmonizing local spacetime with our ship's systems," she reported quietly. "They're making it easier for us to exist in their presence. The technology required for that level of environmental manipulation is beyond anything we've theorized." "We understand your caution," the architect voice continued. "Your species has survived by being careful, by testing the unknown before embracing it. This wisdom has brought you far from your small blue world. But there are things we must discuss, things that concern not just humanity, but the survival of all life in this galaxy." The weight of those words settled over the bridge like a physical presence. Captain Voss exchanged glances with her senior officers, seeing her own mixture of curiosity and apprehension reflected in their faces. Whatever the architects wanted to discuss, it was clearly of cosmic importance. "Commander Hawk," she ordered quietly, "maintain full defensive readiness but keep weapons powered down. Dr. Cross, continue monitoring their technology for any signs of hostile action. Asterion, maintain open communications." She took a deep breath, knowing that her next words would echo through human history. "Architects, we accept your invitation to dock. Please guide us in." As the Prometheus Ascendant began its approach to the alien structure, none of them could have imagined that they were about to learn humanity's true destiny among the stars, and the terrible price that cosmic enlightenment would demand. The docking bay that received the Prometheus Ascendant defied every expectation of alien architecture the crew had harbored. Rather than the cold, utilitarian design they might have expected from such an advanced civilization, the space was suffused with an organic warmth that seemed to pulse with life itself. Bioluminescent panels created patterns of light that shifted and flowed like captured aurora, while the walls themselves appeared to breathe with a slow, rhythmic expansion that was both beautiful and unsettling. Captain Voss led a carefully selected away team through the airlock, their environmental suits gleaming under the alien illumination. The artificial gravity was perfectly calibrated to human physiology, and their instruments registered an atmosphere that was not only breathable but optimized for human respiratory efficiency. The attention to detail was staggering, and troubling in its implications. "The atmospheric composition is perfect for us," Dr. Kane reported through her suit comm, her medical scanner painting holographic displays in the air before her. "Oxygen at ideal levels, perfect humidity, even trace elements that would be beneficial to human health. It's as if they've studied our physiology extensively." Commander Hawk kept his hand near his sidearm while his cybernetic eye scanned the area for potential threats. The docking bay stretched beyond visual range, filled with structures that seemed to shift and reshape themselves as they watched. "I'm not detecting any conventional weapons or defensive systems, but with their level of technology, that doesn't mean much." Dr. Cross marveled at her tricorder readings, which showed energy patterns unlike anything in human scientific literature. "The walls appear to be some kind of programmable matter, they can restructure themselves at the molecular level. The entire installation might be capable of reconfiguring itself according to need." As they moved deeper into the structure, a figure emerged from the flowing walls themselves, not stepping through a doorway, but materializing as if the architecture had chosen to take humanoid form. The entity that stood before them was tall and elegant, its form shifting between solid matter and something more ethereal. Its face, while recognizably humanoid, possessed features that spoke of eons of evolution beyond human understanding. "Welcome aboard our installation," the entity said, its voice carrying the same harmonic resonance they had heard over communications. "I am Nexus Prime, speaking for the Architect Collective. We are pleased to finally meet humanity face to face." Captain Voss stepped forward, her diplomatic training overriding her personal amazement. "Thank you for receiving us, Nexus Prime. I'm Captain Zephyr Voss, representing the United Earth Space Command and, by extension, all of humanity. Your installation is remarkable, beyond anything we thought possible. Nexus Prime's expression, if it could be called that, conveyed something resembling melancholy. Your species shows such promise, Captain Voss. In all our observations, we have rarely encountered such determination, such capacity for growth despite adversity. You have achieved spaceflight, conquered diseases, created art that moves even beings such as ourselves. Yet you stand at a crossroads that will determine not just your fate, but the fate of this entire galactic arm. The away team exchanged glances as they followed Nexus Prime through corridors that seemed to stretch into infinity. The architecture around them told stories without words, murals that moved and shifted, showing the rise and fall of civilizations across cosmic time. Humanity appeared in these displays, but so did countless other species, most of which were shown disappearing into darkness. The universe is older than your species realizes, Nexus Prime continued as they walked. We architects have witnessed the birth and death of 10,000 civilizations. Some achieved wonders that dwarfed our own accomplishments. Others barely reached beyond their birth worlds before extinction claimed them. All faced the same test that now approaches humanity. They entered a vast chamber where the walls dissolved into transparent barriers, revealing the cosmos beyond in stunning detail. But this was not the empty space they had expected. Alien ships of designs beyond human imagination filled the void, engaged in what could only be described as a cosmic war. Energy beams tore across space, worlds burned in the distance, and the very fabric of spacetime rippled with the violence of the conflict. "What is that?" whispered Dr. Cross, her scientific instruments struggling to process the scale of destruction they were witnessing. "The War of Ascension," Nexus Prime replied gravely. "A conflict that has raged for millions of years between those who would preserve life in this galaxy and those who would consume it. Your species has grown strong enough to be noticed by both sides. The Devourers have marked humanity as a threat to their expansion, while the Guardians see potential for alliance." Captain Voss felt the weight of cosmic responsibility settling on her shoulders. "And the architects? Which side do you represent?" "We are the Watchers," Nexus Prime answered. "We observe, we record, we preserve knowledge of those who fall and those who rise. We do not interfere directly, until now. Humanity represents something unique, something that neither Guardian nor Devourer expected. Your species possesses a quality that could tip the balance of this eternal conflict." Commander Hawk's military instincts were screaming warnings. What quality? What makes humans so special in this galactic war? Nexus Prime turned to face the human delegation, its form shimmering with ancient sadness. "Hope, Commander Hawk. In all our eons of observation, we have never encountered a species that maintains hope in the face of such overwhelming adversity. Other races develop fatalism, acceptance, or desperate aggression. Humans persist with optimism that defies logic. That hope is either humanity's greatest strength or its final weakness." The revelation hung in the air like a death sentence as the away team began to understand the true scope of their situation. Humanity had not simply discovered alien life, they had stumbled into a cosmic conflict that would determine the survival of all life in their galaxy. The observation chamber transformed around them as Nexus Prime gestured toward the cosmic battlefield beyond the transparent walls. Holographic displays materialized in the air, showing detailed analyses of the warring factions that fought for control of galactic destiny. The scale of the conflict was staggering, entire star systems served as battlegrounds, and the casualties numbered in the trillions across countless species. "The Devourers," Nexus Prime explained, highlighting a portion of the display where sleek, obsidian vessels moved like predatory insects through space, were once a species much like humanity. They achieved technological advancement through conquest and consumption, believing that only the strong deserved to survive. Over millions of years, they have evolved beyond their original biological forms into something that exists purely to consume and expand. Dr. Cross studied the technical readouts with fascination and horror. Their ships appear to be living entities, biomechanical constructs that can adapt and evolve in real time. They're not just using technology, they've become their technology. Correct, Nexus Prime confirmed. They view biological diversity as inefficiency, preferring to absorb useful traits and discard the rest. Thousands of species exist now only as genetic patterns within devourer archives, their civilizations reduced to exploitable resources. The display shifted to show the opposing forces, vessels of crystalline beauty that seemed to sing as they moved through space, their hulls inscribed with patterns that resembled mathematical poetry. The Guardians, Nexus Prime continued, followed a different path. They sought harmony between technology and nature, preservation rather than conquest. They fight to maintain the cosmic balance, to protect younger species from the devourer advance. Captain Voss studied the tactical displays with the eye of a seasoned military commander. The war appears to be at a stalemate. Neither side has gained significant advantage despite the massive scale of the conflict. Precisely, Nexus Prime replied. For millennia, the balance has held. The Guardians possess superior defensive capabilities and deep knowledge of cosmic forces, while the Devourers have overwhelming numbers and ruthless efficiency. The introduction of humanity could destabilize this equilibrium in either direction. Commander Hawk's cybernetic eye processed the tactical data with machine-like precision. You're saying that humanity could be the deciding factor in a galactic war? We're barely capable of interstellar travel. How could we possibly influence a conflict of this magnitude? Nexus Prime's form shimmered as it accessed vast databases of accumulated knowledge. Your species possesses something that has become increasingly rare in this galaxy, unpredictability combined with adaptive resilience. The Devourers calculate, optimize, and execute with perfect efficiency. The Guardians plan, preserve, and act with measured wisdom. Humans improvise, hope, and achieve outcomes that neither side can anticipate. Dr. Kane monitored her team's stress levels as the full implications of their situation became clear. Heart rates were elevated but stable, adrenaline levels high but manageable. Her people were handling the cosmic revelation better than she had dared hope. There's something else, Nexus Prime continued, its harmonic voice taking on undertones of ancient sadness. The war has been fought for so long that both sides have become crystallized in their approaches. They have forgotten how to truly evolve, how to find new solutions to old problems. Humanity's chaotic creativity represents something that neither faction has encountered in eons. The holographic displays showed Earth from space, then zoomed in to reveal humanity's cities, its art, its monuments to both achievement and folly. Your species creates beauty from suffering, finds humor in tragedy, and maintains bonds of loyalty that transcend logic. You are simultaneously your own greatest enemy and your own greatest strength. Captain Voss felt the burden of representation weighing heavily on her shoulders. What do you need from us, Nexus Prime? What decision are we being asked to make? The choice is not for us to define, the architect replied. Both the Guardians and the Devourers will soon become aware of humanity's presence in this sector. They will make their offers, their threats, their arguments for alliance. The decision of which path to choose, or whether to forge a third path entirely, rests with your species. The observation chamber fell silent except for the distant hum of the installation's vast machinery. Through the transparent walls, they could see the ongoing battle, energy weapons carving scars across space itself while civilizations hung in the balance. How long do we have? Asked Navigator Blackwood, her mind already calculating travel times and strategic possibilities. The Devourer advance scouts are 3 weeks from Earth, Nexus Prime replied with devastating certainty. The Guardian fleet is slightly closer but moves more cautiously. First contact will occur within a month of your return, if you choose to return at all. The weight of that statement hung in the air like a physical presence. Dr. Cross looked up from her instruments. You're suggesting we might not go back to warn our people? We are suggesting nothing, Nexus Prime clarified. We merely observe and record. But understand that once knowledge of this conflict reaches humanity, there will be no returning to ignorance. Your species will be forced to choose a side in a war that has already consumed most of the galaxy. As the away team absorbed the full scope of their predicament, they began to understand that their journey into uncharted space had become something far more significant than exploration. They had become the inadvertent representatives of humanity in a cosmic conflict that would determine whether their species survived to see another century. 3 days after the initial contact with the architects, the Prometheus Ascendant sensors detected an approaching vessel unlike anything in their databases. The Guardian ship emerged from folded space with ethereal grace, its crystalline hull singing harmonious frequencies that resonated through the human Starship's superstructure. The vessel was enormous, nearly twice the length of the Prometheus Ascendant, yet moved with the fluid elegance of a living creature dancing through the cosmos. Captain Voss stood on the bridge watching the approach, acutely aware that this moment would define humanity's future. The Guardian ship's hull was inscribed with flowing patterns that seemed to shift and evolve as they watched, mathematical poetry written in light across surfaces that appeared to be grown rather than constructed. "Incoming transmission, Captain," reported Esterian, his communication equipment humming with harmonics that made the bridge itself seem to sing. "Audio and visual, but the transmission method is unlike anything in our technical manuals. They're somehow modulating spacetime itself to carry the signal." "On screen," Voss ordered, straightening her uniform as she prepared for humanity's second alien first contact. The being that appeared on the main display was hauntingly beautiful in its alien nature. Tall and graceful, with features that seemed carved from living crystal, the Guardian's form emanated an aura of ancient wisdom. Its eyes held depths that suggested knowledge accumulated over geological ages, while bioluminescent patterns flowed beneath its translucent skin like captured starlight. "Greetings, children of Earth," the Guardian spoke, its voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate directly in their minds. "I am Luminar 7 Ascending, speaker for the Guardian Collective in this sector. We have traveled far to meet you, drawn by the unique resonance of your species." Captain Voss stepped forward, feeling the weight of representation. "Welcome, Luminar 7 Ascending. I am Captain Zephyr Voss, representing humanity. The architects have informed us of the cosmic conflict in which you're engaged. We're honored by your attention, though we're uncertain why our species would be of interest to beings of your advancement." Luminar's crystalline features shifted in what might have been a smile. "Your humility serves you well, Captain Voss, but it is unnecessary. We have observed humanity's development for centuries, watching with growing admiration as your species overcame challenges that destroyed other civilizations. Your art, your science, your capacity for individual sacrifice for collective benefit, these qualities mark you as natural allies in our cause." Chief Engineer Thorne monitored the energy readings from the Guardian vessel with professional fascination. "Captain, their ship is generating power levels that dwarf anything we've ever imagined. But unlike the architect installation, this energy feels warm, somehow. Harmonious with natural forces rather than dominating them." Dr. Cross's instruments painted complex displays as she analyzed the Guardian technology. "Their vessel appears to be symbiotic, part constructed, part evolved. It's as if they've achieved perfect integration between consciousness and technology." "Your observations are astute," Luminar acknowledged, having somehow heard their bridge communications. "We do not build our vessels, we grow them, nurture them, form partnerships with the living systems that carry us through space. This is the path we offer to humanity, harmony between technology and life, advancement through cooperation rather than domination." Commander Hawk studied the tactical implications of the Guardian approach. "Their defensive capabilities appear formidable, but I'm not detecting aggressive weapons systems. Their entire strategic philosophy seems based on protection rather than conquest." "The Devourers will come," Luminar continued, its voice taking on urgent undertones. "They have marked humanity as a threat to their expansion, your creativity and unpredictability representing chaos in their ordered universe. Alone, your species cannot survive their advance. But allied with us, humanity could help restore balance to this galaxy." Captain Voss weighed the Guardian's words carefully. What would such an alliance entail? What would you expect from humanity in return for protection? Luminar's bioluminescent patterns flowed in complex patterns beneath its skin as it formulated its response. We would share our knowledge freely, technologies that could solve hunger, disease, and scarcity on your worlds. We would teach you to harness the fundamental forces of the universe without destroying the environments that sustain life. In return, we ask only that humanity contribute its unique perspective to our collective wisdom. Dr. Kane monitored the crew's biometric responses as the Guardian made its offer. The proposal was clearly appealing, technological advancement without the moral compromises that seemed inherent in the Devourer path. Yet she noted elevated stress levels among the senior staff, suggesting an intuitive wariness despite the attractive terms. "Your offer is generous," Captain Voss replied diplomatically. "But we've learned to be cautious of gifts that seem too good to be true. What would happen to human independence under such an arrangement?" Luminar's expression conveyed something resembling sadness. "Independence is an illusion when extinction is the alternative, Captain. But we do not seek to dominate or control. The Guardian Collective consists of over 300 species, each maintaining its cultural identity while contributing to our shared defense. Humanity would retain its sovereignty while gaining protection from forces that your current technology cannot comprehend." Navigator Blackwood checked her star charts, noting the Guardian ship's position relative to the ongoing cosmic battle visible in the distance. "Their vessel is positioned between us and the main conflict zone. They're literally placing themselves as a shield between us and the war. This is our nature," Luminar confirmed. "We protect those who cannot yet protect themselves, preserve knowledge that might otherwise be lost, and maintain the cosmic balance that allows life to flourish. Your species represents hope for a future where the galaxy might know peace again." As the Guardian continued to outline their vision of alliance and mutual cooperation, the crew of the Prometheus Ascendant began to understand that they faced a choice between seductive safety and dangerous independence. The Guardian offer was compelling, but it would fundamentally alter humanity's future trajectory in ways they were only beginning to comprehend. The tranquil negotiations with the Guardians shattered when proximity alarms throughout the Prometheus Ascendant began screaming in unison. Emerging from what appeared to be empty space, a Devourer vessel materialized with predatory precision, a biomechanical nightmare that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The ship's hull rippled with organic surfaces that pulsed like exposed muscle, while weapon ports opened like hungry mouths along its flanks. "Battle stations," Captain Voss commanded, though she knew their weapons would be useless against technology so advanced. The Devourer vessel dwarfed even the Guardian ship, stretching nearly 5 kilometers in length and bristling with armaments that defied classification. Commander Hawk's cybernetic eye interfaced directly with the ship's tactical systems, painting threat assessments in holographic display around the bridge. "Their weapons are targeting multiple systems simultaneously. Energy reading suggests they could vaporize us in seconds, but they're holding fire." The Guardian vessel, Luminar's graceful crystal ship, moved to interpose itself between the humans and the Devourer, its own defensive systems coming online in a display of protective light that transformed the surrounding space into a battlefield of competing energies. "Transmission incoming," Asterion reported, his voice tight with barely controlled fear. "Audio only, but the carrier wave is interfering with our ship's systems just by existing." The voice that emerged from the communication system was a symphony of harmonized terror, multiple vocal cords speaking in perfect unison, creating an effect that suggested a collective consciousness speaking through a single throat. "Humans of the vessel Prometheus Ascendant. I am Strain Prime Ascendant, voice of the collective, harvester of potential. Your species has been evaluated and found useful." Captain Voss stepped forward, drawing on every ounce of command presence she possessed. "This is Captain Zephyr Voss of the human starship Prometheus Ascendant. State your intentions." A sound that might have been laughter emerged from the speakers, a chittering harmony that raised the hair on every human neck. "Intentions? How quaint. We do not intend, Captain Voss. We calculate, optimize, and execute. Your species represents genetic material of significant value, neural patterns of interesting complexity, and cultural innovations worthy of preservation in our archives. Dr. Cross monitored her instruments as the Devourer's scan beams swept across their ship, analyzing everything from hull composition to crew physiology. "They're cataloging us," she reported with clinical detachment that masked her underlying horror. "Every aspect of our technology, our biology, even our cultural patterns are being recorded and evaluated." "The Guardian speaks of alliance," Strain Prime Ascendant continued, "but what they offer is stagnation wrapped in the illusion of protection. They would preserve humanity as museum specimens, maintaining your current limitations while contributing nothing meaningful to your evolution." Chief Engineer Thorne watched in fascination and revulsion as the Devourer ship's hull shifted and reconfigured itself in real time, adapting its configuration for maximum psychological impact on human observers. "Their vessel is redesigning itself as we watch. It's incorporating design elements from our ship, human architectural patterns, even artistic motifs from our cultural databases. We offer transcendence," the Devourer entity proclaimed. "Your species shows promise, chaotic creativity coupled with adaptive resilience. These traits would be valuable additions to our collective. Join us willingly, and we will preserve what is best of humanity while eliminating your weaknesses." Captain Voss felt cold certainty settling in her chest. "And if we refuse?" "Refusal is inefficient," Strain Prime Ascendant replied with mechanical certainty. "Your species will be incorporated regardless, but the process will be less optimal. Willing subjects retain more of their individual characteristics. Resistance results in data degradation during the integration process." Dr. Kane watched her crew's stress indicators spike as the full implications of the Devourer offer became clear. "They're not offering alliance," she whispered. "They're offering absorption, becoming part of their collective consciousness." The Guardian vessel's defensive barriers flared brighter as Luminar's voice cut through the communication channel. "Do not listen to their promises, humans. The Devourers speak of transcendence, but they offer only the death of individuality. Those who join them cease to exist as separate beings." "The Guardian speaks from fear," Strain Prime Ascendant countered. "We have transcended the limitations of individual existence. Pain, loneliness, uncertainty, these primitive emotions no longer burden those who achieve unity with the collective. We offer perfection through synthesis." Commander Hawk analyzed the tactical situation with grim professionalism. "The Guardian ship is maintaining defensive position, but their weapons are powered down. They're trying to avoid escalating this into open combat with us in the crossfire." "Observe," the Devourer voice commanded, and the main display activated to show images of worlds where the collective had achieved victory. Cities of impossible beauty stretched across alien landscapes, populated by beings that moved with perfect coordination and purpose. There was no war, no conflict, no suffering, only unified purpose directed toward cosmic expansion. "And observe this," Luminar's harmonious voice interjected, transmitting their own images. The display showed the same worlds as they had existed before Devourer integration, diverse civilizations with their own art, music, and individual achievements. The contrast was stark, beauty and diversity replaced by functional perfection. Captain Voss looked at her senior officers, seeing her own determination reflected in their faces. Humanity had faced extinction before and chosen to fight rather than surrender their independence. The stakes were higher now, but the principle remained the same. "Both of your offers are compelling," she addressed both alien entities, "but they share a fundamental flaw. You're asking humanity to choose between different forms of surrender. Neither path preserves what makes us human, our right to choose our own destiny, make our own mistakes, and forge our own future among the stars." The bridge fell silent as both alien consciousnesses processed humanity's rejection of their seemingly generous offers, not realizing that they had just witnessed the very quality that made humans unpredictable in cosmic affairs. The standoff in space stretched taut as a vibrating wire, with three vastly different civilizations facing each other across the cosmic void. The Guardian vessel maintained its protective position while streams of defensive energy created a barrier of light between the humans and the Devourer ship. The biomechanical nightmare that was the Collective's vessel continued its predatory circling, weapon ports tracking the human ship with mechanical precision. Captain Voss made a decision that would have seemed insane to any rational military strategist. Asterion, open a three-way communication channel. I want both entities to hear what I'm about to say. Captain, Commander Hawk warned, tactical doctrine advises against. Tactical doctrine was written for conflicts between human forces, Voss interrupted. This situation requires a different approach. She took a position at the center of the bridge, speaking not just to two alien civilizations but to the vast cosmic conflict that had raged for millennia. Strain Prime Ascendant, Luminar 7 Ascending, and Nexus Prime of the Architects, she began, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had commanded through impossible situations. You've each described a galaxy locked in eternal conflict, with both sides convinced that their approach represents the only path to survival. But none of you have asked the right question. Dr. Cross watched her instruments as energy patterns from both alien vessels fluctuated, suggesting intense internal communications within their respective civilizations. The conversation was being transmitted across galactic distances in real time. The right question, Captain Voss continued, is not whether the galaxy should be preserved or evolved, protected or transcended. The right question is why, after millions of years of conflict, neither side has been able to achieve decisive victory. Luminar's crystalline form shimmered with uncertainty. The balance of power has remained stable because our philosophies represent fundamental opposition, preservation versus transformation. No, Voss replied firmly. The balance persists because both sides have become so focused on their conflict that they've forgotten how to actually solve problems. You've crystallized into opposing forces, each defining yourselves in opposition to the other rather than in pursuit of your actual goals. The Devourer entity's multiple voices harmonized in what might have been confusion. Explain this assertion, human. Our goals are clear, optimal efficiency through unified consciousness. Your goal is optimization, Voss agreed, but you've optimized yourselves into a corner. True efficiency would have ended this war eons ago, not perpetuated it indefinitely. You've become addicted to the process of absorption rather than focused on the outcome of improvement. Chief Engineer Thorne monitored power fluctuations throughout their ship as the conversation sent ripples through spacetime itself. Captain, both vessels are drawing enormous power. I think their entire civilizations are listening to this exchange. Navigator Blackwood pulled up strategic displays showing the positions of Guardian and Devourer fleets throughout the galaxy. The fighting has stopped. All combat operations in this sector have ceased while they process what you're saying. And Luminar, Captain Voss turned her attention to the Guardian representative, your goal is preservation, but you've preserved nothing except the conflict itself. How many species have you lost while maintaining perfect defensive positions? How much knowledge, art, and beauty has been destroyed while you waited for the perfect moment to act? The Guardian's bioluminescent patterns flowed in increasingly complex configurations. We preserve what we can while maintaining the balance. You maintain stagnation, Voss countered. True preservation would mean finding a way to end the conflict, not perpetuating it in the name of balance. You've become so afraid of making the wrong choice that you've stopped making choices altogether. Dr. Kane watched the biometric data from both her crew and, surprisingly, from the alien entities themselves. The Guardian was showing what appeared to be elevated stress responses, while the Devourer's reading suggested something analogous to confusion or uncertainty. Here's what humanity sees, Captain Voss announced to the galaxy. Two civilizations so advanced that they've forgotten how to learn from their mistakes. You've been fighting the same war for millions of years because you've both stopped evolving, stopped adapting, stopped questioning your basic assumptions. Nexus Prime's voice emerged from the architect installation. And what solution does humanity propose to a conflict that has consumed the greatest minds in galactic history? Stop fighting each other and start fighting the real problem, Voss replied immediately. The universe is vast enough for both preservation and transformation. Instead of trying to impose your philosophies on each other, work together to impose them on the cosmos itself." The silence that followed was profound, broken only by the hum of the Prometheus Ascendant systems and the distant harmonics of alien technologies processing concepts that challenged millions of years of established thinking. "Elaborate," both Strain Prime Ascendant and Luminar requested simultaneously, their voices overlapping in an inadvertent harmony that surprised them both. "The Guardians want to preserve life and diversity," Captain Voss explained. "The Devourers want to optimize and transcend limitations. These aren't mutually exclusive goals, they're complementary ones. Create preserves where life can develop naturally, and laboratories where consciousness can evolve beyond current limitations. Use Devourer efficiency to protect Guardian diversity, and Guardian wisdom to guide Devourer transformation." Commander Hawk's cybernetic eye processed tactical implications at superhuman speed. "Captain, you're proposing they become partners instead of enemies. Restructure their entire galactic civilization around cooperation rather than conflict." "Exactly," Voss confirmed. "Humanity's contribution to this galaxy isn't our technology or our combat prowess, it's our perspective as outsiders who can see solutions that neither side could conceive while locked in eternal opposition." As the three alien entities began to process the implications of humanity's proposal, the crew of the Prometheus Ascendant realized they had just proposed rewriting the fundamental structure of galactic civilization. In the vast observation chamber aboard the Architect installation, representatives of three cosmic civilizations stood in unprecedented assembly. The meeting itself was historic. For the first time in millions of years, Guardian and Devourer entities occupied the same space without weapons drawn, their attention focused on the small group of humans who had somehow managed to reframe a galactic conflict in terms neither side had previously considered. Captain Voss stood before beings whose individual existence spanned geological ages, feeling the weight of species representation but drawing strength from her crew's unwavering support. Over the past week of intense negotiations, they had seen something remarkable emerge from the chaos of eternal war, the possibility of genuine cooperation between civilizations that had defined themselves through opposition. "The preliminary agreement is extraordinary in its scope," Nexus Prime announced, its form shifting between states of matter as it accessed vast databases of historical precedent. Joint Guardian-Devourer research installations, preserved worlds under Guardian protection, volunteer consciousness evolution programs under Devourer guidance, and cooperative exploration of previously contested territories. Luminar 7 Ascending's crystalline features displayed patterns of cautious optimism. "Our collective wisdom and your transformative technologies could achieve wonders neither side imagined possible. Preserved diversity providing new sources of innovation, optimized efficiency creating resources for protection and exploration." Strain Prime Ascendant's multiple harmonized voices carried undertones of genuine excitement, an emotion the collective had not experienced in eons. "The mathematical elegance is undeniable. Cooperation yields outcomes exceeding the sum of individual capabilities. Humanity has identified optimal strategic configuration through unconventional analysis." Dr. Cross monitored the energy patterns flowing between the alien entities, marveling at the complex harmonics that suggested deep philosophical integration occurring in real time. "They're actually synthesizing their core beliefs into something new. It's like watching the birth of an entirely new form of civilization." But Captain Voss noticed the melancholy undertones in Nexus Prime's communications, the subtle harmonics that suggested profound sadness beneath the surface of celebration. "There's something you haven't told us," she said directly to the Architect entity. "Some price for this breakthrough that you're reluctant to reveal." The observation chamber fell silent except for the distant hum of cosmic energies. Nexus Prime's form stabilized into something approaching solid matter, its ancient eyes meeting those of the human captain with obvious regret. "Wisdom carries its own burden, Captain Voss," the Architect replied slowly. "Your species has accomplished something unprecedented, you have solved a conflict that consumed the greatest minds of galactic history. But in doing so, you have changed not just the galaxy's future, but your own." Commander Hawk's military instincts immediately activated. What kind of change? What are the implications for humanity? Your species will be elevated to a position of unprecedented influence, Luminar explained, its harmonic voice carrying notes of both celebration and sorrow. The solution you have provided cannot be implemented without human oversight, human perspective, human wisdom to guide the process. Strain Prime Ascendant's collective voice added its own harmonics to the explanation. Humanity will become the arbitrators of galactic civilization, the neutral voice that maintains balance between our cooperative efforts. Your species will be honored, protected, elevated beyond your current limitations. The full implications began to dawn on the crew as they realized what the aliens were describing. Navigator Blackwood voiced what they were all beginning to understand. You're saying that humanity will be removed from its natural development path, made into something we were never meant to become. The galaxy needs neutral arbitrators who understand both preservation and transformation, Nexus Prime confirmed. Your species possesses the unique perspective necessary for this role, but accepting it means humanity will never again develop as it would have naturally. You will become the guardians of galactic peace, but at the cost of your own independent evolution. Dr. Kane monitored her crew's biometric responses as they grappled with the cosmic irony of their situation. They had solved a galactic conflict only to discover that the solution would fundamentally alter humanity's destiny among the stars. There is another option, Captain Voss said quietly, her voice carrying the weight of terrible decision. We could refuse the role, allow you to implement the solution without human oversight, and accept the risk that cooperation might eventually fail without neutral arbitration. The statistical probability of long-term success without human guidance is significantly reduced, Strain Prime Ascendant acknowledged. But it would allow your species to continue its natural development trajectory. Captain Voss looked at her senior officers, seeing her own understanding reflected in their faces. They had come seeking knowledge and discovery, only to find that the greatest discoveries carried the highest prices. The galaxy could be saved, but only if humanity sacrificed its natural future to serve as eternal peacekeepers. How long do we have to decide? She asked. The implementation can be delayed for 1 solar year, Luminar replied. Long enough for your species to choose its destiny with full knowledge of the consequences. As the Prometheus Ascendant prepared to return to Earth with news that would change human civilization forever, Captain Voss stood in the observation chamber watching the cosmic battlefield where Guardian and Devourer forces had begun their first tentative cooperation exercises. The solution was beautiful in its elegance, heartbreaking in its cost. Humanity had reached for the stars and found the wisdom to save a galaxy. Now they faced the question of whether their species was willing to sacrifice its own dreams of natural growth to preserve the dreams of countless others across the cosmic void. The greatest victory in human history had become their most profound moral choice, and the answer would echo through eternity among the stars they had sought to explore.